Greetings, everyone. My name is Janine Pizzo, and for this NYSRA virtual poster session, I will be chatting a little bit about multimodal literacy learning and specifically with the Synth podcasting tool. I currently work with pre-service teachers at SUNY Brockport, and if you would like to connect with me after this presentation, feel free to email me at jpizzo@brockport.edu or follow me on Twitter or Instagram at ELA Pizzo Style. I am an ISTE certified educator just as of August 2020, and that process was really remarkable. So if you're interested in chatting about how to become a ISTE certified educator, please reach out. So before I begin this presentation, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experiences with literacy and what I truly believe so that you kind of get a sense of where I'm coming from. So first and foremost, I believe that literacy is naturally multimodal. Our students actually need to be doing something while they're learning, okay? They can't just be lectured at or just read to. They need to interact with the text in a lot of different ways or interact with writing in a lot of different ways. So I'd like to layer learning experiences so students have a chance to engage with multimodalities either through visuals or through auditory materials so that they can ultimately create something and engage with things in a multimodal way. The reason for this also is because their lives are naturally multimodal. Every day they're creating things that incorporate visuals or verbal, kinesthetic, all of those things are naturally embedded into their lives. So why Synth? I am a total podcast nerd. I love listening to podcasts, probably more than anything. It's my jam. So I was thinking, how can I do this with my students? And I was really looking for a program that would make podcasting something easy, not cumbersome. There's not a huge learning gap. So I went through a lot of different things. And I also wanted it to be safe for my students. So I found Synth. I'm not quite sure how actually. I think maybe one of my ISTE listservs or maybe it was actually through the ISTE presentation. I don't remember. But anyway, Synth is a classroom podcasting tool that takes student recording, just their simple voice recording, and naturally formats all of their recordings into a podcast channel. Okay. It's 256 seconds that they have to record, which is roughly 4.5 minutes, what I call the Goldilocks amount of time. They love being able to chat about their projects or their reading or their writing, and they don't want to have to do it for a long period of time. So the 4.5 minutes is great. Synth is interactive, it's customizable, just like a real podcast. Students can choose their intro music. They can, they get to go through and pick which sounds they want to kind of lead in their podcast. It transcribes their text, or it transcribes what they're saying as it's happening. And then also students can link to their presentations and provide tags so that you can quickly find those pieces. Another reason I like Synth is because it is intended, like it was designed for classroom use. So it complies with COPA, it complies with FERPA, it's the GDPR requirements are all met. Okay. And Swivel, who is the parent company for Synth, is a member of that privacy pledge. So they really do work to safeguard student privacy, okay, in terms of sharing and collecting student personal information. So if you're on the edge about podcasting because of the safety reasons, Synth is actually designed for classroom use. So when I think of literacy and I think of podcasting and I think of the standards we're being asked to meet every single day, the three main components really that stand out to me with my with using this in your classroom is students get a chance to be creative communicators, you're empowering them as learners, and they're reaching beyond classroom walls, okay, as a global communicator. So obviously their voices, what they're saying is at the center of this platform. And unlike Flipgrid, so I have a lot of students that when Flipgrid comes about, they take their hoods, they cover up their faces, they place stickers all over their faces, the really funny sunglasses. They don't like showing their faces. Now, granted, it's middle school, so that has something to do with it. But I have found with Synth, the moment I pull out like, hey, hit the record button, they're just like, oh, and they just chat into the microphone. that's built into their Chromebook. I actually did splurge a little bit, $40, and I got the little snowball microphone. They think that's a blast. But I have found that with no FaceTime, there's a lot less fear and they feel more empowered. The other thing that allows them that they really enjoy is the fact that they get to customize the recordings and they are in charge of what goes into those 4 minutes, right? So I have my expectations and then they get to determine for themselves what they want to share, okay? And then everybody talks about authentic audience, and yet very few times people know how to actually implement that and make that a reality. And the podcasting tool is something that, especially with Synth, makes it easy. You hit the share button, you can email it to the caregivers of your students, you can share it quickly to your Twitter or Instagram, or you can also share it with your district or building newsletters so that they can, they'll have more people listening to their work than just the classroom, right? This was specifically true with the passion projects that I was having my students, talk through and share. Before we would just share it within our class of, 20 kids, and that was it. All that passion project work, while it was celebrated within the classroom, didn't go anywhere else. So it was really kind of cool to be able to share their work outside of our building. Another reason I love Synth is I kid you not, probably one of the easiest and most simple platforms you can use for podcasting. You set it up just like Flipgrid. It's actually a few less steps. You send out the link, students hit record. It's bananas easy. Okay. If you wanted to actually, on your lunch, look it over, you could be ready to go by the end of the day to have your kids do this. You know what I mean? It's that simple. It's appropriate for all ages and learning goals. So K through 12, I'm actually using it with my undergraduate students right now. So again, you can use it all ages. And best part, the part I love the most, is the fact that it is free. Thank you, Synth. Thank you, Civil. So when people are asking well, what do you actually see for student uses? They can share learning from their passion projects like I had done. The book talks is always something that's really cool. And then sharing the writing through an author's chair, and then readers, theaters, fluency work, jigsaw activities. There are so many different ways you can use podcasting for student uses. And right now, my undergraduates are currently sharing out their portfolio entries of their literacy strategies. So we spent the semester researching different literacy strategies that work for various content areas. And now, as a culmination, they are sharing through a podcast their favorite literacy strategies for math class, their favorite literacy strategies for earth science. So it's just really cool. It goes on beyond students as well, or Synth can also be used beyond students as well, because staff can also use it. You can share department highlights. There's a thing called audio Twitter. There's open house sharing, daily announcements. You can celebrate students and staff. It just builds a lot of community connections. So there's a lot of cool things there that you can do. So it's not just for students. I do have a couple of examples. If you wanted to go to this website, we can link that there. And then if you wanted to, you can add your questions, comments, or idea blasts that you have for yourself over at our Padlet. Okay. That concludes this. I did offer our group a chance to talk about their own reflection for our poster sessions. So, you can do that if you want, but it's a couple weeks past now, so never mind. If you wanted to chat more, you can always reach out to me. I would love to connect and talk more about podcasting in the classroom. It's one of my favorite things to do in terms of final projects or during learning activities. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this finds you doing well, and try Synth.